Welcome to the Islamic Library Association. We are dedicated to showcasing Muslims' rich contributions to literature and society while advocating for accurate representation and equity in libraries. Hello and assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Khalisah Harris. I am a librarian and the founder of the Islamic Library Association, which advocates for the equitable representation of Islamic faith-based literature. We also highlight the contributions that Muslims make within the literary landscape, and we want to thank you for tuning in to our conversation. Today's episode is very special because normally you just see me here hosting, but since we're speaking with another husband and wife team, I thought it would be wonderful to include my husband, who also serves as the treasurer of the Islamic Library Association.
Assalamu alaikum.
Together, we're so
Salam.
excited to welcome the amazing couple behind Mariam Poppins, a family owned and operated illustration studio bringing warmth, imagination, and joy to children's books. Run by Abdullah and Ameenah, they illustrate everyday moments and explore storytelling with wonder and creativity, leaving behind meaningful art and stories for today's readers and future generations. We are so happy to have you here with us today. So let's just get right into it.
Can you introduce yourselves and share a little bit about the story behind Mariam Poppins?
Okay. You want to introduce yourself first?
Well, I'll go after you. We're both very important, and you are a very key, important person too. You bring the color to what we do. Bless y'all.
Hey, assalamu alaikum, salutations, and howdy. So my name is Ameenah, and I am a children's book illustrator based in Maryland, and a mom of 8, revert, been Muslim for over 19 years, alhamdulillah. The story behind Mariam Poppins is one that not too many people are familiar with. Mariam Poppins was originally a homemaking blog. And a lot of people think automatically we've been doing illustrations. No, we were homemaking. I started it because my husband, he was in polygyny. And so I had to figure out, what am I going to do versus stalking him while he's, out in the world. So I can't do that. That's not healthy. So I had to think of something to do, and Mariam Poppins came about. I was like, I'm going to just be blogging about my family life and homemaking and connect with other Muslims around the world.
And that was a really big positive response from that.
Yeah, that was a big thing.
Positive response for that.
You can imagine.
Just to break in, they told her, don't stop writing.
I had to, and so we have 8 children, and
7 girls and 1 boy.
and when I was pregnant with my 6th child, I went through postpartum depression, and I did not know that I was going through that. And I was like, okay, I need to go to the doctors, and I want to see what's going on because I wasn't feeling well inside. So I went to the doctors, and she was like, oh, you're dealing with postpartum. And mind you, I've had several children prior. So I was like, me? Postpartum? No, I didn't think that was like the case. But I took that, accepted that, and went home and found out that creativity can help manage anxiety. So my mother-in-law and my husband, they got me some adult coloring books. So I was in here coloring and doing bullet journaling. And then one day, every year, people pick their one word for the year. My word was yes. I had to say yes to everything that was halal. Even if it made me scared, even if it made me nervous, I had no clue how to do it. I had to say yes.
I remember that. That was bold. I remember that.
And someone said, if I was posting my journal pages on Instagram, I was doing little drawings on it. And they were like, you should really sell your art. And I said, yes. Having no clue how to do any of that, I was like, yeah, do that. I'll go ahead and sell my art. And that's how we end up illustrating and everything.
Yeah. So how do I compare
All
with that?
right.
And I just went along for the ride. She was so awesome. I just had to follow and support. That was just it. There you go. I supported the sister as she was
That's
growing.
good. That's
And then
good.
when she took off, she dragged me with her. Not
Mhm.
dragged, you floated me. Yeah, we,
I invited him. I
thank you.
said,
She invited
hey,
me.
Okay.
because
I
There
he
you go.
has,
That's a better word.
he's being modest, but he has navigated the business world in many levels that I haven't. So it was my first time running a business and I was not taking it seriously at all. And I invited him. I was like, hey, you have these expertise, skills, and can you come be my partner
Thank
in
you for
this?
that.
And I was like 50-50. Let's do this.
And I was like 70-30. She takes
I was like,
70.
no. I was
You
like,
know, you do it all. I
no.
don't need that much.
And then I was like 50-50. And then he was like, hey. And so I brought him along and it's
Yeah,
been
I
like
know.
this for over 6 years now.
Right.
Wow. Wow. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, and I'm happy about that. It's been good. It's been a good ride.
Uh, and would you like to introduce yourself and give your perspective?
Well, well, on the spot, I kind of freeze up. But what I can say about myself is, like she said, I'm a serial entrepreneur. My life experiences were where I wasn't able to get into the job for several reasons. So it forced me to be an entrepreneur, think outside of the box and create avenues forward for me and my family. So when I met her, we married quickly, both agreeing to the sunnah. She gave me 100 questions before she'll even talk to me. I answered those questions, 100 questions, to her likability. So we met. And soon after that, we married quickly like that. I married her before I saw her face, even though the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said I have the right to see her face prior to marriage. I married her on the deen so that I would benefit. And so it has worked out for me. Alhamdulillah. So coming forward now, 19 years, going on 20 years of marriage in October, inshallah. We have this many children, and I just have been a supporter and a fan of her personally. Not only just a supporter. So I'm amazed by her art. I don't say it often, because we live. I'll say I like it and it looks good. I don't look at it all the time either, but when I do, I'm actually amazed at her art. It is not. It doesn't resemble some, and I know the reference have been made like that because everyone has a right to express how they see the connections. But for me, in her own right, I am actually touched by what she do, what Allah has blessed her with.
Oh.
To follow the sunnah and still reach where people can see themselves in the art. So that's my story as far as being connected to her within this. So thank you for the partnership. Abdullah, he is the person that makes sure Mariam Poppins is remain rooted in the purpose and the foundation of that, like the social impact and making sure that it reaches where it needs to reach with keeping the purpose in mind, which is sometimes a part that I forget. Sometimes I'm more the creative aspect of it and making sure that it looks a certain way. But Abdullah is more the deeper person of it. And we also, when I do the illustrations, I send them to him and we have to make sure that the illustrations are to Islamic standard. And, I don't just draw what I feel, because if I did, it would be a whole lot of things. But we have to make sure that it's pleasing to Allah. And so you have to have that person on your team that remind you that it's not about the likes and the shares.
Oh yeah.
And that people will keep saying, oh, that's cute, oh, that's so pretty. You need someone on your team that's going to be like, that is not right. You shouldn't have drew that. Yeah. Uh, in that regard, for me personally, it's like art therapy. That's actually a thing that people receive therapy through relaxing and seeing visual colors and non-overstimulating things. So basing it inside of that as a medium that almost everyone can draw. They can scribble, they can draw, and this is an outward thing that we have access to. So keeping it in that different mental types, types of learning like this, trying to stay in the mama's kitchen cabinet as a remedy. And also an industrial use, you need to play this in all your hotels for staff to be able to draw or talk, or someone visiting the hotel, they can draw with Mariam Poppins
LLC in the lobby or in their room while their mom or dad, etc. So trying to reach that audience that we're relevant according to people who need help through art. And that's the, I guess, the filter we go to, but making sure that Allah is pleased with us, for he has described or prescribed for us that we do not make liking to graven images. But however, when it comes to the matter of learning and teaching, don't come near that, but we can display certain aspects. So we try to reach that, like just not going too far into it, the severing of the neck and the body, those little things, the fingers, and other little stratagems that we're not competing, nor could we.
Yeah.
Nor could we.
Yeah.
Nor should we.
Yeah.
Right.
And so of that. Thank you.
Yeah. So I've seen some of the illustrations that you all have created, and your works highlight Muslim identity and representation. Um, how do you think your illustrations help challenge stereotypes and build positive visibility?
It's we illustrate Muslims or representation of Muslims doing everyday things.
Yeah.
So that makes it relatable. They're like, okay, if I make a comic about a sister who's having children, every other women who have children can relate to that. The sleepless nights or the baby crying and things like that. So relatable illustrations of everyday life. Like you, just because I draw a Muslim with a hijab on doesn't mean that you two don't have something in common.
Yes.
So I might draw a little girl with hijab that's outside playing hopscotch. A lot of us grew up playing hopscotch. So it's relatable. And I think a lot of times people don't look at it like to Muslim illustration only.
Yeah,
I
was
don't
gonna
run
say
into
something
that.
like that. I was going to say that also because a part of the art that I noticed that it reflected what I go for as well is that being Muslim as one who submits, is also showing those who do not or may not. So we have art that actually display us in different highlights, like we're in communities where people are healthy, they're of different faiths, which is displayed throughout our art, and we actually draw books for different faiths, not violating rules again about we cannot uplift or like that or whatever prescribed or keep it going on. But however, still able to deliver a message that where you have someone of a different faith, that they still need to get the message to their children, their grandchildren of the good. And so Allah has allowed us to navigate that without actually going outside of our religion. Alhamdulillah, that they can still put it forward. So showing how it represent Islam, we've actually been able to draw all cultures within that framework to show what Muslim is and what it isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By that. So yeah. So it's different cultures and many.
Yeah.
Okay, this is could be a two-part question, mainly for Abdullah. As the spouse of an artist, as the spouse of an artist, what role in supporting do you play, helping the vision grow the way you'll look forward to it growing?
A nice question. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Uh, One of the ways that immediately comes to mind is when we're discussing whether a person should hire us.
Okay.
And I usually get in between those negotiations for trying to appreciate her as a creative artist. Sometimes the money gets messy.
Okay.
And so it takes away from her creativity, whether she'll want to do the work or not, because of being so frustrated, she can't get into her space of how she does it. So usually when I come in between that, I'll talk and have her there when I'm talking to finalize the deal, but I'll often say I'm her referee. So in the conversation, I'll be like, "Hey, can I make this deal?" And she'll be like, "Oh, yeah, you go make that deal." And then in the conversation, I'll usually be like, "Hey, so you can get what you're asking for as an author, and I can translate that over to someone who is only inspired by your work. Let's do it like this." And so that has been a way that I've assisted her, is that being that buffer or that referee, that so she can actually stay inspired by the art, because she doesn't want to charge money. So charging a
Okay.
fee is not what we would like to do, but right now it seems as if that's one of the things we have to do right now, is to charge from time to time. So to get the money and keep the creativity, that's one of the ways I actually support her is try to referee or negotiate or remind her, thank you for that, inside of the deals that everybody's important. As an artist, she's important. As an author, that person is important. And so we all make this work out together. So I will even stretch out the payments and then negotiate with her. Can you wait on your payment? Literally, even though I'm a partner, I'll literally ask her, make she wait on a payment, or can she wait on this, or can she do this or that? As literally as her executive secretary. Even though we don't use
It's
those
also
words
a
here.
reminder of etiquette. Sometimes I need a reminder of, like, how do I best put this?
I mean, she makes express how she
Sometimes I
feels.
might feel a certain kind of way, and I'm gonna say this like with as much grace as much as I can. And you need someone on your team to be like, you got to bring that down a little bit.
Right.
I understand. Feel law, bring that down, and then you're like, you need that because if I'm by myself, sometimes you just have your own thoughts to bounce off. And you be like, yeah, in your mind, you be like, girl, I am right. I know that didn't go the way I planned. So I'm talking to myself, and then I'll be like, yeah, but if you have a partner, you can be like, "Look, I don't think that was right. And then he like, sis, come on.
I mean,
You're looking at it.
I'll take the punch.
You're looking at it wrong. And I'd be like,
And that going back to what I was saying, perhaps it might be like, for example, she pushed to the 11th hour to get something in. The author wanted to push to the 11th hour, and then at the last minute, that person might not come through on their side, and she's like, "Well, I think that I worked hard for it. Should I let her know?" And I'll be like, "You can't let her." And so that's where that actually literally comes into, because even though it's important how she feels, like it might not be the business ideal to let that person know how
Yeah.
we feel. Because the thing is, they just want their artwork done. They just want it done. They're excited and everything like that. And if it goes right at the person who's she's working for it.
Yeah.
It's not just an idea. She's really sweating for it. Baby in the background.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we have this environment, which is healthy. We need to know babies count. We can't have a healthy environment. I don't want to be sterile.
Yeah.
Sterile environment. Ain't nothing
Yeah.
around. No
Yeah.
plants, everything big. We gotta have somebody alive,
But this here,
So, yeah.
paints the picture for everybody. The babies around,
Yeah.
the passion
Thank
behind what
you.
you're
And
doing,
artwork.
the
Yeah, we
artwork,
actually have a
everything.
fair.
It
Thank
paints
you,
the
brother. We
picture
do.
of
We
what you
actually
put
have that
into it.
environment.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
happy
the
for it.
environment. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we have
say
it
this
for it.
all the time. The journey is part of is more so part of what you do. When you
And thank
doing
you for that
something that you're
reminder.
passionate. Yeah. Yeah. You gotta tell people sometimes. You gotta let people know that, it's not that you want to focus a lot on your revenue and your money, but this here, I gave you this price because we put our love into this for you. We
Yeah.
we we
Indeed.
we put it everything we got into it here for you, and we are not trying to make it about the money, but an artist should get paid for their art,
Yes.
and that's
Yes, before that sweat dries, according to the religion.
exactly
Yes.
exactly exactly.
Before your sweat dry.
So,
Yep. But
yeah.
also, I was saying the second part to it was, what's the most rewarding part of it for both of y'all,
Oh,
working together.
wow.
Does that help y'all? Has that helped y'all grow in relationship? Does it?
It does,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
That's a really interesting question. So for me, we have a situation where, so of course, something you can understand that it is her right to work or not.
Okay.
And so by us having a partnership, she's able to get off whenever she wants to. She could be like, brother, I'm off.
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh dear. Okay. Oh, that mean off? Hey, you just go, that mean off. Yeah, that really means off. I'm like, but partnership. She's like, I'm off, brother.
Yeah.
And that really, it takes a while to understand that. Oh, you off. And she get to take
I'm
off.
still working on this.
But
This
it's
this couple
appreciative.
dynamic where in my mind that's my husband.
In my mind,
If
I'm like, it's a business. I
yeah,
mean,
he's
you got a
really
husband, but you gotta give me
he's
2 weeks
great.
notice, sister.
He is great with this, and I
I'm
am
like, so
not.
2 weeks notice at any job,
I'm
in or
like,
out the business. She's like, brother, I'm off. I'm like, okay.
yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Or like if we are like if there is some type of discord between us, I'll be like, all right, I ain't illustrating.
She
I'm gonna
always
go ahead.
It's
And
okay.
I'm gonna go in this area.
That's
And
the
do
artist.
this.
That's why they broke in the world.
And I'm like, I
You
have to
gotta have that
remember.
partner.
It's hard to sometimes
It's
separate the business partner
from the art.
from the husband.
Oh,
Yes.
And I gotta be like, my husband is my husband. That shouldn't affect like
yeah. You just
our
want to kick me in
business.
the knee. You shouldn't kick the business in the knee.
Yeah, I'm like, I
Kick
kick the
me in the-
business in the knee. I'm kick the husband in the knee, and then I'm just gonna go and
And
attend
sit
to
down
all
and
the
drink tea.
babies
Right.
and
Be
sit
like,
down and
"Look,
relax.
well, I got your kids.
Yeah,
Like,
other
yes,
things it
ma'am.
could be
No
done.
problem.
Yeah.
Can I get you something to drink while you're doing that? While she
Exactly.
kicking me, just get her something to drink. Right. That's it. It's okay, sis. It's okay. We love you for the right reason.
Yes.
Oh,
Mashallah. That's right. Mashallah.
He's really great at balancing that, and I'm still navigating how
Well, I think that's
how
how
to
it's
do
supposed to
that.
be. I'm not always put
So
together like
I know a lot of people
I'm
like
saying. That's a
they look
a
on me.
daily thing, growing a journey thing.
People on the outside, they will look at me and Abdullah and be like, wow, you guys are really working together and you have these babies and you're doing this business and you're homeschooling. And it looked like roses. And a lot of
That
times
looks
it's
real
like
symmetry.
survival. Everybody's
Like, you
in
working
here
today?
trying to
Nah, don't talk to me. Ain't nobody. I'm like, I care about you. No, just find out if I need to do something. Something. No.
partially.
Okay. Okay, guys. Right. Yes, ma'am. All right. So I'll be like, okay, love you, care about you. Business is not everything.
Yes, and I'm
And,
working on that because he's good at that. As with like, oh, that's my wife, that's my wife.
Right. So when she pull out, that's good.
And I'm still like,
Right, you got
no,
3 jobs.
we
You
all
gotta go
doing
through this.
everything together. This is one
Yeah,
thing.
they all come.
Yeah, this is one thing.
Yeah.
If I'm not happy here, I'm not happy here either.
Exactly.
So I say that whole
Yeah.
thing of
I'm
happy
like, how
life is a
it's
happy
hard
life.
to
So
and
I say on that. I
and to
remember
be
that.
honest, it's
Yeah.
hard to produce like art if I don't feel a certain way.
Yes.
I am that type of person
And if I
that
didn't
doesn't.
give, and I didn't give when she needed to actually push,
Yeah,
then that would
I
make it
will
a problem.
just
Yeah,
I will dim.
that would be a problem.
Like my light will dim, and I can't illustrate joyful things. It will start to be like negative stuff. So I don't
Yeah, it
do
does affect her
anything.
artwork. I've noticed that over the
Yes,
years.
I
Like
was
if she's sad and
one
thinking about
project
something more and more.
we were working on.
Occasionally.
Yeah, it was illustrations. Like we do them in sets. So say that is a 10-page, 10 illustrations are needed. 5 joyous. So I'm in a good mood. So the illustrations are great. The author's
They're
like,
like, this is
oh,
my
great.
dream. I
And the
wanted
next
this.
5 come in, we could have discord.
Yeah.
And I could be just like, my light would just, and I'll submit the illustration. And she was like, this is not the same as the other one. And
I'm like, this is not the same art.
it was hard. And it's really hard for me to navigate that because I
It's
think I'm
emotional.
an
It really is
emotional
emotional.
person
It is
in
emotional.
my art. And whatever I feel is what comes
Comes
on
to
that
art.
canvas. And
But that's why I like
that
your
I
art so
can't
much.
fake it and I can't
Yeah.
make it flow. If it doesn't flow, I don't force it.
Yes.
And if I'm not happy, I'm not gonna fake it. So
Yeah,
that's
so cool.
that's just
And
how I am.
and I follow that, and as to that, the inside of our way of life, our elders, the people from the day have pointed out that, if you have like 10 issues with a woman, take 2 and throw out the 8. The 2 that you must talk about, and then be kind of gentle with those 2. And then within that, I'm not a perfect being in that as far as connection or communication is concerned. And then if I take that same method with me, she'll have 8 things that she need to tackle me about, but she'll have to throw out. So with that, it makes it I'm more flexible that I can be wrong or she can be wrong. I can take a punch. She can be wrong. And it's okay to be wrong. So I kind of do that thing that she has the space to be wrong and still cared about. So you say something wrong, it's okay. It's okay. You in the position that you're into. It's fine. Yeah, it's okay. And take that approach about quite a few things.
So, how many books have you illustrated so far?
We have illustrated over 14 books.
Oh,
Mashallah. Over
mashallah.
14.
So,
One day I'll have to sit down and count. But last thing I remember that actually published
okay,
14.
okay,
And there's quite a few that are not published that
Yeah.
some because the way, and thank you, good question. Some of the books that we do, we offer full publishing services. We go through Amazon to publish them because they have a publishing arm. and make it easy for
Yeah.
independent publishers to publish their own work. So that has been successful for us. But some have gone a route where they might not want to use that distributor. And so they've gone I'll do my own terrain, and it's been difficult to publish. Because the doors are naturally closed, as you may understand. That's why you actually in the space you're in. And so it has actually been difficult for them to go the other way around. So hopefully, inshallah, that will change, that everyone will have the equal benefit to share knowledge, across platforms. I mean,
Are any of the books that you illustrated currently available in public libraries? You mentioned it being published, 14 published books. Did any of those books make it into the public libraries?
You know what? I have no clue. And it's so interesting that you asked this question because I had a friend reach out and she was like, Ameenah, do you mind if I ask my library to put the books in there that you illustrated? I was like, yeah, you don't have to ask me that. And she was like, okay, because I'm collecting the ISBNs to give to the library. And so I don't know how that went. That was actually about a week or two ago.
oh, this is different.
Yeah,
Okay, sure.
about a week or two ago. And so I would have to check back in, but that would be lovely if they are in the library.
Because when we researched, they were saying that independent authors a lot of time did not reach public libraries or systems unless they were taken in manually. We had gotten that advice from someone that's a librarian also, and that was about a year ago, right?
Yeah, about a
Okay.
year or two ago.
Okay. And so they were saying that it's actually a lot of more groundwork to actually have to be done. Whether Amazon allowed that to get in there, we have not doubled back on it. We've really been focusing getting illustrating people messages to the next generation.
It would be nice if they were in the library.
Yeah.
Absolutely, real nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I know you mentioned that you don't only illustrate to represent Muslims, but all cultures. So with that being known, from your perspective, how can libraries better showcase Muslim stories, well, and illustrations specifically?
Ooh. Have Muslim illustrators and authors come to the library. And I know that you said that it's not just that easy to pop up in the library like, hey, I know it's not that easy, but, however it is, that have them come or support events outside of the library. Um, things like that. That to
That's
me is
nice.
the
I
best.
can see that. Almost like event planning for
But
local
what you're
artists
doing
or cultural artists.
is that actually to me
Yeah,
what you're doing
I
with
can
your
see that as well.
platform.
Okay.
You're showcasing Muslim illustrators, authors, publishing houses, and I really feel like you doing that is a huge thing.
I also.
Huge.
I also.
And I love it because, I get to see the different authors that I didn't even know exist. Some I heard about, some I haven't. And all these authors with their different types of books. And you're creating a space. And I think that right
Thank you
there
both for
is
that.
that example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you both for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, the Islamic Library Association, I know you already know, but pretty much it is a lot of like what we've talked about before, Amina, was just how the guidelines and requirements and the policies that ultimately blocks books
Yeah.
and authors and illustrators like you from getting within libraries. So the Islamic Library Association just creates that space to highlight these efforts and that these books exist. We're not asking for equity and say, hey, y'all make the books too. No, we're saying we already have these books and they should be included. And we have amazing work. So why would it not be included? And even for the library to say, oh, well, we don't take self-published books, but how can a library be equitable like they claim when they're getting their resources from inequitable entities that do not accept the books and drawings and things of Muslims? How are you being equitable if we're not even put in the bag? Like, so it creates that space to change the policies to make sure that we have a chance to be, or actually to show the right that we have to be included. It's not really a chance; it's a right, and
Yeah.
So something pops to my mind as you say that, and it may jump off. Have you thought of making it a EFT, electronic token? Whereas though all Islamic books, they actually have to have what is called cryptocurrency almost. where you can almost only go to the library or access to these books if you actually have these codes. Right now in the industry, I mean, it was a few years ago is when it started out where they were selling maybe a picture of a rooster and it that someone drew and it's $27,000. They're the only one got access to it, etc. Because with the nowadays the copywriting and stealing and things like this, they can't stop it with AI. So people are actually doing digital locking systems
Mm,
for artwork and for literature.
mm.
So I'm not sure if that's something you looked into, EFT, for offering that to people also, that we will protect the literary work that we have and artwork that we have in a cryptographic system, as well as putting it in a library. That might be something to look into.
Well,
Inshallah.
libraries would be the idea is I see what you're saying, but the idea would be to have our books and drawings accessible to the same rates as everyone else's. And those are
Yes,
in the public
understood.
libraries. And
And may
public
that be
libraries have resources and I mean down to attorneys to make sure everybody's things are safe. So that's not really I mean, it's not my thing. I'm sure there are people who can do that. But for the Islamic Library Association is more establishing policies to
yes, ma'am.
ensure that we're there. You know, and to make libraries accountable. You can't say you're equitable and you're not in there.
No.
So
No.
yeah, so that's what
Yeah,
it is.
Thank you
right.
for that.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna add on something. I got another question for you. But the way I add on
Sure.
something like she was saying, you know, we understood where you were coming from, what you were saying, you know, as far as a different route or another route. So we appreciate that input on that too as well. But you know, we're not trying to circumvent the system, trying to
Yeah, and you're trying to get actually in the system. That's the whole point of you
that's right.
existing.
Mhm.
That's right.
Yeah, we're out already.
That's right. Right.
So yeah, I was saying if they switch up things, that may be auxiliary
Yeah.
system to be aware of. Like I still can get y'all
I
access
mean, that's
to
good
digital
information. That's
digital
good
works that
information.
haven't been changed.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
question,
thank you for that.
as a father, I don't know if you're a frequent the library, you take the kids to the library a lot, but as a father in this business, do you think it's important for the children to see themselves represented in the library space?
I do actually, because I don't think someone would know them other than except they know the creative works of all of us. And they also have to see us.
Yeah.
You know, there's still some places they can go where people will touch their hair and say, "Is this real?"
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, you know, we
Yeah.
still live in such a place like
Yeah.
that.
Uh-huh.
And so, you know, a library or access to education, free education for everyone without charge, to call it a library, what have you, is a necessary thing to eliminate illiteracy. So, you know, I really do think that they need to be represented in the library, that they can go pick several books and have access to it and don't know that it was a thing that didn't used to be there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, yeah, I want to see the Islamic library established in all the libraries as a
Mhm.
pathway or
Mhm.
avenue to for all of us to get access to books. And for those who have been locked out, that's a doorway for all of us. I think that's a
Inshallah.
necessary thing.
Inshallah.
Not just their library system, that you are the library system also.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Why not?
Exactly.
Why not?
We're here.
Yeah.
So we know we're talking about different policies and things like that, but um, as a specific artist, what challenges do you see Muslim creatives facing? Because it's not going to look the same as someone else's challenges. Because when you're showing or representing Muslims specifically, we know you do for different cultures, but when you're doing arts for Muslims specifically or that represents Muslims, some people may view that as conversion material. These are actual words and phrases that's been coined to me when I'm talking about Islamic faith-based literature. So if we're talking about Islamic faith-based illustrations, it has
Yeah,
to be the same concept. I mean, it's one and the same. It blends. So it's different than if you say, I'm showing a Christian family. They're not going to
understood.
view it as conversion material.
Version material.
So why do you think the
Okay.
challenges would be different as a Muslim creative when it comes to representation of Muslims with their families, within their communities, or even within the libraries? Why do you think the challenges would be different, or what do you think some of them may be?
You like to answer that first? So I just start.
Yeah, you could.
Okay. One of the things about the conversion materials is different perspective of how people arrive at that, exposing lifestyles of others. We have examples throughout history of prophets coming to say everyone is important, every culture is important. They were expired quickly by the people who they had come to for trying to express the same challenge that you are fighting and we should not do. We shouldn't fight like this. We should do this. So the challenge will always exist. And so what we have done, at least I have, for that social impact portion is to try to reach out to those who actually have their hand out for those looking for people like us. And so inside of the artwork, for example, when you draw and you draw different cultures or you draw the Muslim cultures, like say, I'll do the opposite. When we draw for people that are not Muslim centric minded people, there's still no facial features.
Mm.
That's a challenge for them. They're like, why aren't there facial features? There are no digits on their hand. Why aren't there any digits? I didn't know that that's how you draw. That has come up to us afterwards. And for us, that hasn't been seen as a conversion. It's been seen as a form of art and a style of art. And so we've been doing that. It is art therapy for the person not to be all white. They got to be brown, black, Asian, etc., with some stereotypes and without some stereotypes in the art, so you can identify with them. So we've had challenges with that period. So, and lastly, we have been denied more than we've been told yes because of this challenge. They'll say that like I can say on hand, we have at least 11 people that said we love your artwork. I'm hands down. You are the artist for our dream. We, etc. And we're thankful for them. They take us to their publisher and they say, that's not the style of art we're going to publish.
Oh, so
Our audience does not accept that style of art, even though it has nothing to do with Islam. It's just the facial features not there. That present or this, that, and the other, they have say our audience will not buy your product. So
we
for us to publish your book, you have to.
we had I'm not going to mention who came, but
Yeah.
there was a big person.
Yeah, really big in the industry.
The author reached out, and it was going to be her first book. And she and I had talked on the phone, and she just loved the art.
Yeah.
Faceless, everything great.
Identify with the
I
kids, the
like it
audience,
as
my
is.
kids, my
I
family
actually
members like it.
prefer that it's not with these facial features.
Yes, it's beautiful.
So I love it. We sit down with the art director,
Yeah.
who was a big person, and
In the industry.
they automatically ask the questions about the art, the backstory, things like that. And the last question was like, "So faceless?" And we were like, "Yeah."
Well, can you do faces?
And then
we were like, no.
And they were like, "Okay, cool." It was not cool, and we did not hear back from them. And it was one of the biggest opportunities that we have ever been presented with. And it was hard for me to just have to accept that. That was a big.
I mean, it is.
That was a big one to be like, oh wow, like you're gonna meet these challenges. And there was like some agents who were like, "We love."
Not that your work is not good.
There were some agents who give you the bittersweet response, like, "We love this. Can you just add this?" And we can't add this. This is non-negotiable. We can't add this. And so those are the challenges that we have to navigate through. And as a creative, those punches like that, you have to step back and be like,
how can I get through this, draw through this?
Like, this hurts because I was this close, and because I just did not go over this way, the way they wanted me to go, I lost this opportunity. And sometimes you just have to pick yourself back up, remind yourself of the higher purpose of it.
This wasn't
because you're going to have a lot of glitter and gold thrown at you and be like, man, this is great. They're like, oh, come on, you can come on over. And I'm like, wait, with this art? And they're like, no. And then you're like, Oh
right.
man.
So now,
They're like, okay,
man.
you can't come to our party.
I,
I'm like, I was this close.
I like the hole in the wall food anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like to visit the sushi bars, but I don't like to hang out there.
Yeah.
So it be like that sometimes. You order out, and
Yeah.
sometimes you make food at home.
So we haven't
I'm
had
change.
I've never
I
heard of
like it.
the conversion. I like
MashaAllah.
you too.
Thank you. Glad you too. I like the Islamic library.
Me too.
Right. We like this.
I never heard of the conversion thing. I
The
mean,
terminology.
I'm not meaning in when it comes to the art. I've never experienced that when people look at the Islamic illustrations
And that's
that
why it
they
was a great
felt
question from her.
some
Yeah.
type of conversion of it, as if
Yeah.
we were pushing Islam on them.
Yeah. But
Like we've never, I have to love, we never had that.
language.
At least I've
The
never
language.
experienced anybody feeling like, me sharing Islamic illustrations, I was out to get them.
Convert.
Like, no, I'm not. And nobody has ever said anything to me about that. And
But
so that is a very good
that
question.
has
I
been a
never thought
protective
of
that
it.
has been a protective thing from our Lord that
Yeah.
has allowed her to
Well,
navigate
I've
and
had
keep being
nice
inspirational
responses from
and keep going.
yeah, from non-Muslims who are like, this is beautiful, mashallah. And it has they're like, I'm a different religion, but I can see
See this.
this
I
in,
can,
in that.
and that's the
And I'm like,
goal.
that's wow.
That's the
That's
goal.
the stuff right there that
You
makes
know?
me feel like I can keep pushing forward.
We're
So
reaching humanity person by person or droves of them in a halal fashion. And there's something soft for them. There's
yeah,
something soft. And that's really big for me is that we made an impact during this era. That Allah chose to use us to make us relevant for the time of this era. Once we go away, inshallah, like the Islamic library, and I was telling my children before this, I said, this is really a big thing. I said, it may be happening in your house because you see your mom and I doing this, but this is really how someone will come up to you 20 years from now, like, oh my, you're that kid? That's your family? I said that, and they smiled.
Yeah.
I said, this is that for them. And so this is that for us. And we got to remember that. So yeah, so they were happy about this, that we understand this is a very important moment for now and the future.
yeah,
This is that. So thanks again for this opportunity.
thank
That
you.
those opportunities, you look at them, you can say the opportunities missed, but with that being said, like you said at the end, sometimes they're not opportunities missed. There might be an opportunity missed for the person that decided not to go with your artwork.
Yeah, indeed.
You missed an opportunity
Yes.
to get in on some history making over here, and you missed that opportunity.
Right.
We're dealing with history here. We're history
Yeah, this is true. Very,
So,
very important.
not my bad, your bad.
Exactly.
Yeah. They really missed out on something, an artist that actually strived to fit the needle, that the creator is happy and the people are not offended. I mean, that's really a big thing,
Right.
throughout all cultures, throughout all religion, having awareness of them and not angering our Lord.
Yes.
So that's a really big thing. I see it. That's why I say I'm also her fan and I back her, you know.
So, you mentioned something about the illustrator, the art director, um,
Thank you.
ultimately denying to move forward because he didn't draw certain features. Okay, but that's the same thing just in the art world opposed to the publishing world because it's not that nobody wants these books. Y- Specific people don't want the books, and
Thank
specific
you.
people also
Wow.
don't want the proper and accurate representation of Muslims. We have to acknowledge that. It's not that you just don't like
I
it.
didn't
You
even
don't
think
want the
about that.
true representation because they allow books and pictures of things that are not accurate representations of Muslims within the libraries.
Wow, that's true. You
So
know,
it's just
wow.
the same thing with the art. It's not that your art isn't good, that they personally might not like it and they don't want the truth to be seen, so they keep it hidden. And they're the gatekeepers of getting into libraries and for the public to have awareness, then that's what they're gonna do when they're in that position. But on the flip side of that, just like when I talk about public libraries are just that, public, not private. You can have your own private library in your home and have the books that you want to read. But
Yeah,
we're not talking about your
exactly.
private library. We're talking about
Right.
public libraries for the
That's a good point.
public people, with people who will have different stories and different illustrations in them. So
That is
it's
a
a
Wow.
very good point.
That's what
disservice.
that is, indeed.
It's a
That's a very good
disservice to
point.
everyone to not have illustrations and different creatives show their work. You can, it's
Yeah,
all types of other art going on, whether it has features or not.
Yeah,
And they're
it
allowed
is.
and they're shown and everyone sees them. So I actually think that is it's just another layer of issues and challenges that Muslims specifically have to face because they're not giving anyone else that.
No, I
They're
can
not doing.
identify with what you said. I can
that's a
appreciate
good
that.
point.
That is. And spending so much time on the old adage that we have to work twice as hard
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
now even 4 times or 5 times hard because
Mhm.
we
Yeah.
checked our religious status, so, as to that, I can identify with that.
That was a good point.
Yeah.
Young
We are
inspiring.
not properly represented.
Yeah.
Instead, we walk into a library, see her art on the wall, many other artists' art on
Yes.
the wall,
Yes.
and feel like we belong, like we do in our own neighborhoods and our own
Right.
little
That's
private
right.
spaces. So
Mhm.
that would be something good, and may Allah bring that.
That'd be
I mean, He said this
Inshallah.
earth is spacious.
Oh yeah.
At the end, we
Oh
won't
yeah.
have to complain. We can find somebody we can link up with.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, we have a good old time from time to time.
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
That's right. Good food. We can do a little something, a whole bunch of stuff. Good dish, put something on the grill. We talk about food. Everybody get to smile. Everybody
Yeah,
happy about
there you
that.
go. There
Even
you
the
go.
baby scream. They like, ah. They like, ah. Right. She's 6 months. She know about food.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh-oh, now I'm gonna start up. So, all right. Let me get back to
So if you was let's say you was to come across some young inspiring artists, what advice you would give a young Muslim artist that's looking to illustrate their stories or do something in the same fashion and they ask you for advice? What advice would you give them?
I would tell them to hold, stay steadfast and keep Allah first because it's going to be moments where people request things that you necessarily cannot illustrate or come off as though you condone certain things and you can't do that. And so there are going to be some times where you're going to turn down projects and be patient and don't waver. Don't waver and don't, keep Allah first. That is what's important. And don't sacrifice your deen and your thoughts of, that you're gonna have these thoughts where you feel conflicted.
like you're not good
You're
enough.
gonna be, it's a race. Everybody's out putting a bid in for their children's book to be illustrated.
Oh yeah.
Every day I see on social media someone put out a post. I'm looking for a children's book illustrator. And I go out there and I put my bid in with about 10 other people. And everybody has different art styles. I am the only one with a faceless illustration and I had to put my bid in, and sometimes we win, and sometimes we don't get the bid. Um, and you gotta be okay with that.
Mm. So when you think about the future, what's your dream for Muslim representation in children's books?
To see some books that we personally have illustrated that I thought were pretty awesome. Not because we illustrate, the writer really did a good job. I would love to see them be in traditional publishing, where the big publishing houses pick these books up and back them. That would be a big dream, and to see that these authors who are going through the self-publishing route
And the baby agrees.
that they get the awards and things like that, that they're not just this one group that you just judge separately, but that they can come together with traditional publishing books and be treated the same.
Into that.
That would be awesome versus they just a standalone.
Oh, right. There's such a thing as self-publishing. I think actually getting rid of that word self-publishing is no such thing. We're all humans. We need to publish. I
Okay,
think eliminating that factor is the thing.
I
You get
like
off of
that. Okay.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, publishing.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So where can people Where can people find your work at? Support what you do.
All right.
All over social media. We are Mariam Poppins from Pinterest to X, formerly known as Twitter,
And the spelling
Instagram,
is
Facebook.
MAR
IAM
Poppins.
Poppins.
Yep. Or
Yeah,
.com. Just put a .com on there.
we're all over social media.
Instagram.
You just put us in Google,
And yeah, we
it
know.
pop up.
Right. And so we do quite a few things, like I guess on who we are. We actually do pay what you can afford, which means that we have a price that we actually would like for you to pay based off the services. But outside of that, if you're not able to pay that, you can pay up to X amount. We work that out on a payment scale, and we fund a portion of it to get your mission across. So we've done that a lot, quite a bit, and it's the fun part of the business that actually allowing someone to get across the finish line. For example, in the U.S. and outside of the U.S. In the U.S., it may be someone that says I'm budget restricted, and then you have someone that's from Malaysia or Singapore or something like this, and they're like $400 U.S. is my monthly salary. So we wanted to et cetera, and it takes months to pay. So in those cases like that, we work out with them, slide them in, and then that way we're actually able to help them as well. It's not about money; it's about amount of publishing.
Nice.
Let's get you out. Let's get it out. Let's get your work out. How you feel inside. Let's get that out to your family. So we've been blessed to be a part of that. If you don't got it all the way, we can try to help you the rest.
Yeah, we're quite flexible.
So MariamPoppins.com, Instagram, Twitter,
MariamPoppins.com.
or X, as you said, right? We're everywhere but
TikTok.
But TikTok.
Okay.
I think we actually had a handle, but we don't use it
We're not
for
on TikTok.
multiple reasons. we wasn't able to get through the filters. So
It was just a lot. TikTok got a lot going on.
You don't have to explain that to us. We're on the same wavelength with the TikTok.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you, brother. It's like, It's like, whoa.
Yeah, I can't get past
Subhanallah,
it.
got to pray me. You got the seven. Like, I ain't signed up for that. But anyway, Anyway, right.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Like, can't bring me out all the time. You got to keep
Well, alhamdulillah, I want to thank you both so much for sharing your journey, your artistry, and your reflections with us today. It was such a pleasure learning more about the heart behind Mariam Poppins.
Aw.
And I pray that you continue, the law continues to inspire your journey. You inspire Muslim families, strengthen the representation in the libraries for Muslim literature and beyond. So, inshallah.
I mean,
Inshallah.
So for our viewers, don't forget to check out Mariam Poppins. The links will be in the description. And of course, if you'd like to support the Islamic Library Association and our mission of increasing equity of Muslim representation in public libraries, be sure to subscribe, share, and stay connected with us.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Wa alaikum rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Join the Islamic Library Association, and together we can shape a more inclusive future for literature.